Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a topic that, well, it affects millions worldwide, but is still really profoundly misunderstood. That's myalgic encephalomyelitis chronic fatigue syndrome, usually shortened to ME/CFS. Our mission, really, for this deep dive is pretty simple. We want to cut through all the noise, all the confusion, and just extract the most important nuggets of knowledge. We've looked at a stack of sources, official health organizations like the ME Association, #MeIntection, Solve ME/CFS initiative,
Right.
alongside, crucial academic research and also those really powerful lived experiences people share online, like on Reddit. We're basically here to give you a shortcut so you can be truly well informed about ME/CFS.
And it's a conversation that's, frankly, long overdue.
Yeah.
ME/CFS is definitely a complex condition. It's often shrouded in myths, misunderstandings. But our goal today is to give you a clear, evidence-based understanding. Hopefully you'll have some genuine aha moments that cut through that information overload.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll be exploring what ME/CFS truly is, why some, let's say, traditional approaches for managing it can actually be harmful, and really importantly, practical strategies for navigating this challenging illness. So, okay, to really get started, let's unpack what ME/CFS actually stands for. It's myalgic encephalomyelitis chronic fatigue syndrome.
What a mouthful.
It is. And you might also hear it called post-viral fatigue syndrome, or PVFS.
Right, PVFS.
And sometimes, particularly in the U.S., systemic exercise intolerance disorder, or SEI. These different names sort of hint at the journey this illness has had in just getting recognized.
Yeah, they do. And what's truly foundational here, I think, and often missed, is how it's classified. The World Health Organization classifies ME/CFS as a neurological disease.
Neurological, okay.
Yes. And that's absolutely key because it makes it explicit. This is a physical, biological illness. It's not psychological. Research consistently points to, well, distinct abnormalities. Things involving the brain, muscles, the immune system, or endocrine, that's hormone-producing systems.
They're real physical changes.
Real physical changes. Theories range from, nervous system dysfunction, maybe autoimmune issues, mitochondrial problems, all pointing to a physical basis.
And here's where I think the widespread misunderstanding often kicks in for someone maybe observing or interacting with a person who has ME/CFS. It's this complex multi-system illness causing, prolonged ill health, significant disability. Yet, and this is the kicker, people with ME/CFS often look perfectly well, even when they're feeling absolutely profoundly ill inside.
That disconnect is huge.
It's huge. And that stark contrast between how someone looks and how they feel, it contributes massively to skepticism, makes daily life incredibly hard.
And that brings us right to the single most defining symptom, the hallmark symptom, which is post-exertional malaise.
PEM.
PEM isn't just, getting tired. It's a really disproportionate flare-up of existing symptoms, or sometimes the appearance of totally new ones. And it's often delayed. We're talking hours or even up to 24 hours after some kind of exertion.
24 hours. Wow.
Yeah. And that exertion isn't just physical activity. It can be cognitive, like concentrating too hard, emotional stress, even sensory overload, like bright lights or loud noises.
So it's not like us feeling knackered after a long day or a workout.
Not at all. For someone with ME/CFS, PEM means this prolonged, intense increase in symptoms. It can last days, weeks, sometimes even longer. It just leaves them completely wiped out.
Gosh. And to give you maybe a deeper sense of just how broad the impact is, imagine not just that extreme fatigue that sleep doesn't fix.
Unrefreshing sleep, yeah.
But also widespread pain. Muscles, joints, nerves. Then add the brain fog, and that's a real cognitive dysfunction. Makes thinking, remembering, concentrating incredibly difficult. Then there's dizziness, intense sensitivities, light, noise, smells, temperature changes, and that classic unrefreshing sleep you mentioned. It rounds out the picture for so many people.
And if that wasn't complex enough, there's the fluctuating nature of it all. That's something people really struggle to grasp. Symptoms, their severity, they can vary wildly. Not just day to day, but hour to hour sometimes, month to month.
Somewhat unpredictable.
Very unpredictable. And sometimes someone's health can just deteriorate quite suddenly. It makes planning, consistency almost impossible.
Okay, so we've defined ME/CFS, we've talked about PM and the symptoms, but I think a huge part of understanding it is correcting this really widespread and often harmful historical misconception about recovery. For so long, the advice was just power through the fatigue, right?
That's exactly right. In the past, therapies like graded exercise therapy, DAT, and even cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, were commonly recommended, pushed even. But, and this is critical, after extensive reviews of the evidence, major health organizations, like in the UK, the CDC in the US, they now explicitly warn against using GAD for ME/CFS.
They warn against it now.
They do. It's a major pivot based on evidence.
And this shift, it happened for really good reasons, didn't it? Based on some strong academic critiques.
Absolutely. Studies that previously seemed to support GET and CBT have been, well, heavily criticized. Significant methodological flaws, biases.
Like what kind of flaws?
Well, things like relying only on subjective patient reports in studies where patients knew what treatment they were getting. So non-blinded studies, extensive endpoint changes, basically changing the goalpost for what counted as recovery halfway through, selective reporting of data.
Wow. So not just minor issues.
No, quite significant concerns. And reanalyses of major studies like the infamous PACE trial.
I've heard of that one.
Right. They actually found no objective improvement after GET or CBT, no measurable change in things like fitness levels or employment status. In fact, sometimes these treatments actually led to a decrease in people's ability to work or function.
That's staggering. And what's maybe even more powerful, for me anyway, is hearing the patient perspective on this. You see it so vividly in online communities, like on Reddit. People saying, pushing through PEM didn't make me stronger, it made me worse.
No.
Permanently.
Tragic stories.
Some people became bedbound directly as a result of being told to push through by professionals. It's just sobering. It really hammers home that EEEET isn't considered safe or effective for many, many patients and can be genuinely harmful.
It stands in really stark contrast to the approach that's recommended now, which is pacing.
Pacing, okay.
Pacing is basically a self-management strategy. It involves carefully balancing activity and rest, being active when you can, resting when you feel tired, but crucially, proactively planning rest before you do potentially strenuous activities. It's about prevention, not just reacting after you've overdone it.
And this leads us to, I think, a really critical misunderstanding we need to bust. The idea that ME/CFS symptoms are just because of deconditioning, because people aren't active enough.
Right, that's a common myth. And while, yes, underactivity isn't great for anyone, the consequences of regularly triggering PM, they are far, far more serious and potentially irreversible compared to reversible deconditioning.
So the idea of just exercise more is not only misguided, but actually dangerous for this group.
Precisely. The core idea, the insight of pacing, is to find your baseline. That's the level of activity you can consistently do, even on a bad day, without triggering PM.
Finding that safe limit.
Exactly. And that might mean, initially, cutting your activity way back, maybe in half or even more, just to discover what that true safe baseline is.
That sounds tough mentally, having to cut back so much.
It is tough, but here's the surprising thing. By consistently avoiding PM, by meticulously sticking to your energy limits through pacing, some individuals might actually gradually, incrementally increase their baseline over time.
Oh, okay.
It's a slow, deliberate process. It takes patience, but that's often where real sustainable progress can be made, avoiding the crashes.
So what does all this mean for someone actually living with ME/CFS day to day? Or, you know, for you, the listener, maybe trying to understand how to best support someone. Because it sounds like ME/CFS just impacts every single aspect of life: work, socializing, hobbies, relationships.
Everything.
And it often leads to this deep misunderstanding, skepticism, even discrimination, doesn't it? Because it's such an invisible struggle.
It truly is. And the way to think about managing ME/CFS, it isn't about finding a cure. Unfortunately, not yet anyway. It's more like building a personalized toolkit, making small, consistent adaptations. The focus is really on influencing the symptoms, improving quality of life where possible. There's a principle, I think, at the heart of this. No one wants, chooses, or deserves to have ME/CFS.
Right.
But you do have choices about how you respond to it. And those choices can, in turn, influence your experience of living with the condition. It's about finding agency within some very real limitations.
That's a really powerful way to frame it. Finding agency. Okay, let's dive into some of those tools, some of the most impactful ones, starting with activity management. I've heard a really helpful analogy here, thinking about your energy like a faulty mobile phone battery.
Ah, yes, the battery analogy. It's a good one.
Yeah, so the idea is the battery is inherently low capacity, it drains incredibly quickly, and it takes a very, very long time to recharge, especially if you let it get completely flat.
Exactly. And some activities, sometimes surprisingly, drain it much faster than others. Cognitive tasks can be just as draining as physical ones.
And a key concept here is avoiding that boom and bust cycle, right? Where someone feels a bit better, does way too much.
Makes hay while the sun shines.
Feels great for a moment maybe, and then just crashes. hard for days or even weeks afterwards, paying the price.
That cycle is exhausting and demoralizing. The power of pacing really lies in proactive self-preservation. It's about preventing the crash before it happens. Even if it feels totally counterintuitive to stop doing something when you still feel okay, you have to anticipate the delayed reaction.
So what does that look like practically?
Well, two crucial principles for activity management are often called micro-chunking and proactive pausing.
Micro-chunking.
Yeah, breaking tasks down into tiny, manageable segments, often much smaller than you'd think necessary. Like just peeling the vegetables, then resting, then chopping a few, then resting again.
Instead of trying to cook the whole meal at once.
Exactly. And proactive pausing means building in regular planned breaks before you feel tired. Schedule them in. Don't wait for the fatigue signals because by then it might be too late.
So it's not about gritting your teeth and powering through. It's about anticipating those energy dips and managing them preemptively.
Precisely. And these principles, they extend to all kinds of activities. People talk about varying the type of activity. So maybe do a small physical task, then switch to a short mental task, then rest. Don't just do hours of the same thing.
That makes sense. And performing differently, too.
Yes. Performing differently is huge. Sit down whenever you can, even for tasks you used to stand for. Stop when you feel that first hint of fatigue. Don't push past it. Learn to speak up about your needs.
And prioritizing, I guess.
Absolutely. Prioritize what's truly important to you, and then adapt how you do it. Maybe you can't go to the party, but you could teleconference in for half an hour.
Or wearing earplugs or sunglasses if you have sensory sensitivities but still need to go out.
Exactly. Adapting. And don't forget delegating tasks, asking for help, which can be hard, and using adaptive equipment. Things like perching stools for the kitchen, lightweight hoovers, maybe mobility aids.
Getting assessed for the right equipment is important there, though.
Definitely. Professional advice helps ensure it's suitable and safe.
Okay, so that's activity management. Building on that idea of careful energy management, you mentioned another powerful tool, quality rest.
Yes, quality rest. And it's something we often misunderstand. Rest isn't just stopping physical activity, watching TV, scrolling through your phone. That can still be quite mentally stimulating and therefore draining for someone with ME/CFS.
Right. It's not truly restful.
Not always. Quality rest, true rest, offers significant physiological benefits. It actually lowers your heart rate, your blood pressure, reduces muscle tension. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, that's our rest and digest system, aids digestion, improves cognitive processing, helps with cellular repair and growth.
Wow. So it's like a prescription, but with no negative side effects.
Pretty much. It's that beneficial.
So how do we get that quality rest? What are the tips?
The key is making it regular and planned, like scheduling appointments with yourself throughout the day. It also means properly breaking from all types of stimulation. Physical, yes, but also social and mental. Minimize sensory input if you can. Dim lights, quiet space.
So proper downtime.
Proper downtime. Practicing mindfulness techniques, even something really simple like a breathing space exercise for just a few minutes, can help quiet the mind. And keeping rests relatively short, maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes, can be useful during the day to avoid falling into a deep sleep if that messes with nighttime sleep.
But pacing and resting, they aren't always easy to implement, are they? People must face internal hurdles.
Oh, absolutely. Common thoughts that really hinder pacing are things like, I have to finish what I start, or worrying, other people will think I'm lazy if I keep stopping.
That guilt or external pressure.
Exactly. It's important to try and consciously counter these thoughts with alternative perspectives, like reminding yourself pacing might actually help you get more done overall by preventing those long crashes, and explaining your needs clearly to others, helping them understand this hidden illness, well, that can reduce judgment and build support.
That's a good point about the mental game involved. And what about that fear some might have that resting makes me feel worse because they worry about deconditioning?
That's a real concern, and it can feel that way initially. But the way to address it is usually by combining very small amounts of carefully paced activity with quality rest. It's a delicate balance, finding that sweet spot. It's not about no activity, it's about activity within your limits.
Okay. So beyond pacing and rest, what other key management areas should we touch on?
Well, understanding pain is a big one. Persistent pain is really common in ME/CFS. It's often linked to something called central sensitization.
Central sensitization.
Yeah, it's basically where the central nervous system itself becomes overly sensitive, kind of amplifying pain signals. Like the volume knob is turned up too high. Stress and low mood can definitely make pain worse. But conversely, relaxation, mindfulness, Gentle, non-PM inducing activity can help calm that sensitized system down.
Okay. And cognitive management, the brain fog.
Yes, the brain fog. Cognitive issues, memory problems, they are very real and debilitating. Mindfulness practice can actually help improve focus over time. And practical things help too, environmental adjustments, like reducing noise, adjusting screen brightness, using memory aids, lists, phone apps, calendars, even visualization techniques, whatever works for you.
I think many of us experience a bit of brain fog sometimes, but for someone with ME/CFS, it's just on a completely different level, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's not just a minor inconvenience. It can severely impact functioning. And tied into that really is emotional stress management. We know stress activates our body's fight or flight response. That's incredibly energy demanding long term, and it's energy people with ME/CFS simply don't have to spare.
So stress is like pouring fuel on the fire.
It really can be. Our brains have, broadly speaking, three emotional regulation systems. The threat system, alert, anxious. The drive system, achieving, seeking. And the soothing system, calm, content, safe. For people dealing with chronic illness, consciously cultivating that soothing system through things like self-compassion and mindfulness can be immensely beneficial for managing stress.
And there's an analogy you mentioned, the passengers on the bus.
Ah, yes, the passengers on the bus. It's a great analogy from acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT. It basically teaches us to acknowledge difficult thoughts and feelings of the passengers without letting them hijack our actions or steer us away from our values where the bus needs to go.
How does that work?
Imagine you're driving your life's bus. Passengers, get on these your thoughts, feelings, sensations. Some might be loud, critical, anxious passengers. You're lazy, you'll never get better, what's the point? They might shout, try to grab the wheel. The key insight is they are just passengers. You are the driver. You can acknowledge them, okay, I hear you, fear passenger. But you don't have to believe everything they say or let them dictate your route.
So you acknowledge the thought, but don't let it control your behavior, like stopping you from pacing properly.
Exactly. You keep driving towards what's important for your health and well-being, like prioritizing rest, avoiding PIM, engaging in gentle activity within your limits, even with those difficult passengers on board. You choose the direction.
That's a really helpful visual. Okay, and finally, sleep strategies. Unrefreshing sleep is so characteristic. What practical tips can help improve things, even a little?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Practical tips often focus on sleep hygiene and strengthening the connection between bed and sleep. So things like only using your bed for sleep and intimacy, not for watching TV or working. Trying to go to bed only when you feel genuinely sleepy rather than just fatigued.
Ah, differentiating sleepiness from fatigue.
Yes, maintaining a regular wake-up time, even on weekends, helps regulate your body clock. Avoiding long daytime naps, especially late in the day. Using a 15-minute rule, if you're lying awake in bed for more than 15 minutes or so, get up, do something relaxing in dim light, and only go back when you feel sleepy again.
Breaking that frustration cycle of lying there awake.
Exactly. And practicing relaxation techniques before bed can also help prepare the mind and body for sleep.
Yeah.
It's really about optimizing the conditions for the best sleep you can get, even if it's not perfect.
And underpinning all of these strategies, pacing, resting, managing pain, fog, stress, sleep, I imagine effective communication is vital.
Absolutely vital. And interestingly, assertive communication tends to be the most energy-efficient style in the long run.
How so?
Well, being passive often means your needs aren't met, leading to resentment or exhaustion. Being aggressive can damage relationships and cause stress. Assertiveness, clearly and respectfully stating your needs and boundaries, is usually the most direct and least draining way. Using I statements, I need to rest now, instead of you're making me tired.
Planning conversations too, maybe.
Yes, planning difficult conversations. Practicing saying no simply and clearly without feeling you need elaborate excuses. And consciously choosing which relationships and interactions you invest your very limited energy in. That can make a huge difference in managing life with ME/CFS. It's about protecting that precious energy resource.
It really sounds like managing ME/CFS isn't like running a sprint or even a marathon. It's more like, I don't know, conducting this incredibly delicate symphony of daily activities, adjustments, and self-awareness with your energy as the very fragile lead instrument.
That's a lovely way to put it. A delicate symphony is right. Looking ahead then, what's the broader picture? Support, research. Where are things heading?
Well, organizations like the ME Association, Solve ME/CFS Initiative, #MEAction, they play such a vital role, don't they?
They really do. They offer essential lifelines, things like helplines, providing crucial, up-to-date information, which can be hard to find otherwise, building community supports, people don't feel so isolated, And importantly, they're actively lobbying, pushing for better healthcare provision, more understanding from doctors, and critically increased funding for proper biomedical research.
Research is key, isn't it? To find diagnostic markers, really understand the underlying causes, and ultimately discover effective treatments.
That's the goal. Finding objective markers, understanding the pathophysiology, developing targeted treatments. It's a fight on multiple fronts: support, education, research.
And ultimately, managing ME/CFS, living with it, it's clearly a long-term journey. It requires ongoing commitment, huge flexibility, immense courage. Setbacks are going to happen. They're a normal part of the process, right? But that consistent self-care, that idea of giving the world the best of you rather than what is left of you, that feels essential.
It really is. That consistent effort towards self-management, self-compassion, it's crucial for maintaining quality of life.
Well, we have covered a lot in this deep dive into ME/CFS,
Right.
from, its true nature as a complex neurological illness
Right.
to the absolutely critical, life-altering importance of understanding PEM and implementing pacing.
Mm-hmm. The dangers of not pacing.
Exactly, and exploring that whole myriad of practical strategies for managing its very complex symptoms.
And remember, truly understanding ME/CFS, it goes so far beyond just recognizing fatigue. It really involves grasping the profound, often delayed impact of post-exertional malaise and appreciating the specific ways the body's systems, neurological, immune, endocrine, seem to be profoundly dysregulated. It's systemic.
And the journey for individuals living with ME/CFS is just made so much harder, often by that widespread misunderstanding, not just from society, but sometimes, sadly, still from parts of the medical community itself.
Which really raises, I think, an important question for you, the listener, to maybe take away and mull over. How can a greater collective understanding of ME/CFS, an understanding that's genuinely informed by both the growing body of robust medical research and the invaluable hard-won insights of lived experience, how can that truly shift societal perceptions? And how can that shift enable more compassionate, more informed, and ultimately more effective support for everyone navigating this profoundly complex condition?